Good morning. It's been a while since I've been on video, and I want to apologize for that. Today, we're still talking on soul ties and how soul ties or ties, ties or bondage can be attached to certain things, not just to people or relationships, but it can be attached to other things too. We've talked about organizations, we've talked about open and closed organizations, secrets, and today we're going to talk about how you can be put in bondage by assistance. So even assistance can create bondage if strings are attached to it. Now, last time we talked about strings being attached to certain things. Strings being attached is manipulation. And the bondages may not come directly as the result of a gift, but rather as the result of help extended, often in time of need. And an example of this would be if someone were to pay your fine or maybe bail you out of jail and then put you under an obligation to them. So how do we determine whether a gift or an action is intended to create a problem for us or put us in bondage? Well, first of all, you need to think, does it feel like there's strings attached to this help or to this gift? Do you feel like you can accept the gift and walk away, or do you feel like you're going to have to repay it in some way? Those are how you need to look at assistance and when people want to help you. And manipulative phrases where strings can be attached include, I'll buy this for you if you do da-da-da-da-da-da-da, or your father and I will buy you a house if you live next door to us. In order for you to have this gift, you have to do what we want. And if you really loved me, you would da-da-da-da-da, okay? And don't tell your father and I'll buy it for you. Remember, secrets are not good. And then the last one is, this is a family heirloom. I've always wanted you to have it. However, if you don't use it, if you just put it away, I want it back. So that doesn't sound like it's really a gift, because they're wanting it back if you're not going to use it the way that they want you to use it. So those are ways that you can kind of test and see if something is possibly going to put you in bondage. Okay, will it pay, or another last one maybe could be, we'll pay for the remodeling of your home, but don't let your husband take that job out of town. You've got to stay here around us. We'll do this. We'll buy you a car if you don't move, if you don't take the grandbabies away. So all of those have conditions. And notice that all of those statements are conditional and have the effect of exercise and control, manipulation or domination over the one on the receiving end. This is actually witchcraft, and I've talked about this before. Anything that's manipulation is witchcraft, and it puts you in bondage to the will, wishes, and demands and the control of the other party. And now I'm also going to talk about gifts, because everybody enjoys getting gifts, but there's good gifts and there's bad gifts. So how can a gift possibly put you in bondage? Now, again, we talked about some of these in just a few minutes ago, like I'll buy you a car if you do this. Well, that's going to put you in bondage because now you're obligated. Or I'll remodel your home, or da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so how can we tell between a good and a bad gift if it's something not as major? The key resides primarily in the motivation of the sender. What's the motivation of the gift? What does the sender hope to gain by giving you that gift? Is there a reason the person is wanting to just bless you? Is it just a true blessing from God with nothing attached? They don't want anything in return. They don't want a big publication about how they gave to you. Or is it something they want to do just in silent and not having any recognition, and they just want to bless you because God told them to bless you? So those are things that we really need to think about when we're talking about gifts. Is the motivation godly or ungodly? What is expected in return? Are there any strings attached to the gift? A test for bad gifts would include the following questions. Do you have a bad feeling about the gift? So if somebody gives you a gift, you can pretty much listen to the Holy Spirit inside of you if you're born again and have the Spirit in you. The Spirit will tell you whether or not there's bad feelings attached to it. And has the Holy Spirit giving you a check? Has your spirit talked to the Holy Spirit about checking the gift, if there's any strings attached or if it's appropriate? And again, is the gift inappropriate? If you're working with a coworker and a coworker, which is a man, gives you a gift, but he's married, to me, that would be inappropriate. And so you need to find, I don't know if I would accept that gift, because unless he's giving everybody gifts, so you would need to know what is the purpose of the gift that he's giving. And did it cost too much? Now, sometimes that could be another indication. Someone who is normally not extravagant with you all of a sudden wants to bless you with something very extravagant. Is there a motive behind it, or is it a true blessing from God? Now, I have people who have given me cars in the past, no strings attached, and I know and I praise and thank God that was from God. They didn't want anything in return. They just simply wanted to bless me. And it was definitely a blessing. My hair is just all over the place this morning. Sorry about that. You have a good laugh today. How I look. So it's a little breezy out here. So any gift received which the recipient, which would be you, would be unwilling to publicly acknowledge having received, it probably is an inappropriate gift. And gifts of large sums of money given by one family member to another can also create a great bondage of obligation and soul control. So these little things you would think are just so simple and would not even think about having a bond created because you accepted a gift. And you need to, and items and objects can also be attached to spirits. And I know that we're not talking about that during this series, but I just kind of want to throw that out there, that you need to be careful when someone gives you anything, especially if it's cultural, statues, if they're things that represent gods, like idols, like dragons, because dragons a lot of times are worshipped in some cultures. I know, like in the Native American, there's certain things that I need to be careful about, because I am also Native American, but there's some tribes that have a lot of witchcraft in them, especially in the Southwest. And like the Apaches have certain dances and they dress a certain way, and it's actually to dance for certain gods that they have worshipped. And so even having those pictures of that type of dancer hanging in my wall would be representing or inviting a demon in, or a spirit, an unwanted spirit in, because that is an ungodly photo. Our God is a jealous God. He doesn't want to share us with anything else. I do remember a time that I had a picture hanging up in my house for a long, long time, and it was of a Kachina doll. And the Kachina dolls are primarily Hopi tribe, and the Kachina dolls are actually idols. They're little gods, and they represent their gods. And even though I was a Christian, I didn't really think about this because it just hung on my wall, and I just didn't give it a second thought. And then the Holy Spirit started working with me and kept directing me back to this picture. And it was such a nice picture. It was signed and framed, and it was beautiful. But he kept telling me I need to get rid of it. And so I did. And I didn't just give it to somebody else or sell it to somebody else, because we don't want to sell something that has a spirit attached to it. I went ahead and, I couldn't burn it because I was in the city at that time, but I made sure to put it in the dump. So we need to really check ourselves on what we have. And just this year, I remember that I had another wall hanging in my bedroom. And I never really thought about it. And then I looked up one morning, and and the Holy Spirit directed me right to the drawing that was on this wall painting that I had. And there was actually a person with a knife coming towards a man and a woman, and there was cattle. It was all symbolism, the Native American symbolism, but I never remember seeing that person with the knife. And to me, looking at it, it looked like Satan was after Adam and Eve and the creation. And that's kind of like what it reminded me of. And so I just felt very uneasy about this particular wall hanging that I had, because I don't know if that's what it represented or if it was something else. But just the fact that that image had a knife and was going after two other people made me feel uneasy that a spirit could be attached to that. So I did burn that, and it was difficult to burn at first, but it finally did burn. And I know years ago, before I had my children, so that was probably about 35 years ago or so, I went through a time when I had just been really getting my relationship established with God. I went through my house and asked the Holy Spirit to direct me of everything that I needed to get rid of. I went through all my albums. I don't know if you younger people know what albums are, but they're vinyl disc. They were like CDs, but they're big. But I had a whole collection of albums, and he told me which ones to get rid of, because I had like Steppenwolf that had some bad songs on there. I had Alice Cooper. I know Alice Cooper claims to be a Christian now and may have changed his life now, but at that time he had a lot of demonic music. I had Black Sabbath, which is definitely had demonic stuff on there. So I got rid of my albums that he told me to get rid of. I went through my VHS videos, which was before DVDs, and got rid of all the horror movies, and because I had movies like Damien, The Omen, things that definitely can bring in spirits. So I got rid of all of that. And so I've had to go through my home several times, not just that one time, because we can bring in anything, or gifts can be given to us, and we want to accept them because we don't want to hurt the person's feelings. But we need to be very careful about what the gift is. Is it something that represents a cultural god? Or, again, it could have a spirit. If they got it from secondhand store, we don't know what kind of spirits might be attached to it. But that, again, is for another day and another session. So I won't really get into that. I just want to kind of bring this to your knowledge that you might need to be careful about what gifts you bring into your home. And this is the same as who you allow in your home. What kind of spirit do they have? Because that spirit that's attached to a person that comes into your home, that spirit might stay in your home, and then you have to get rid of that spirit. So it's important, to think about all of these things. These horror movies that we watch, most of the time they're based on truth. If you really search and study the Bible and seek God, a lot of that is actually based on truth. Spirits are real, ghosts are not, ghosts are demons, but spirits can enter if you have a door open. And don't let just anybody pray over you either, because they could also have a spirit. There's witchcraft already in the church, because Satan wants to stop all of us from reaching our destination and finishing our assignment, which is to bring people into the kingdom. So we need to just really try to be in tune with the Holy Spirit so that we know what is good and what is not, and what would bring us into bondage. So I pray that you might have learned something today. If you have any questions, you can ask me on the bottom of this video. You can inbox me, talk to me on Facebook. But I'm open to answering whatever I can, or you can research on your own. But anyways, I pray that you have a blessed day. Thank you.